So here in Boujou, if we import the image sequence by pressing this import sequence button here, and it brings up these two dialog boxes, all you got to do is just to navigate to the location of your image sequence and just press the first one, and it will select them all automatically by itself, and press open. And then from there you just got to change the frame rate to the frame rate that the video was actually shot in originally. So my one was 59.94. I've selected that and I press apply, but then as you see this bug reverts it back to 25, so I've got to do it once more, and I press apply, and now you see it stays on 59.94. If I press close, and now if I go to this tab here which says track features, press that, bring it here, and go into the advanced. You see all these are the possible tracking points that it's going to find. If I just make it a little bit more sensitive and press start, and it's doing its thing. Once it's tracked, it's going to have to solve it to get the best trackers out, I believe. And that's how it works. So just to do that automatically, if I just this box here, if I check it next to the camera, that will solve once this is completed. And you see now all these blue and yellow dots, that's your final track for now. You can scroll back and forth. Now what we've got to do is we've got to tell Boujou the scene geometry, the 3D coordinates in another sense. So if we press this button here where it says scene geometry, and now we just select some of these points. For example, if I select this one here and control press this one here, so I've got these two, and I press add to coordinates from hint, and then I press connect to selected. So those two are now connected, and if I find another two, so these two should be under, is that a y-axis or z-axis? It's a z-axis, I believe. Let's do update coordinates, and then I do it once more for the x-axis. So if I click on this one here, and I control click on this one, and I do another add coordinates from hint. And now I need to change that z-axis to x-axis and press connect to selected and update coordinates. Now to see how that is in my scene, let's do an add test object. And you see this thing here? That shows you how it will play out. And that looks like a fairly good track to me anyway. Press export the camera solve. I'll do it here, and I'll just type the file name as track points, and then I'll change the because I'm going to take it to Maya. I usually find the best one for Maya is either this one or the After Effects Maya one. I want to try the After Effects Maya one, and press save, and save again, and that should be exported. Now in Maya, I need to import that tracking data. So if I if I go to File, Import, Desktop where it was saved, and I go to my actual folder where I saved it, and I called it trackpoints.ma, and that should now bring it in for me. And that is my scene right there. Okay, so if I want to see that in the perspective, if I go to panels and change the camera, so I'm viewing it from the camera's view, I can see that. So if I go to import and get my character, which is the jump over FBX, and press import. So my character is very large. If if I was to just grab all the body parts, I need to put that into a group, and then if I scale it right down, this is the skeleton part, which I don't really need to see at any point, but I do need it in the scene because that controls the animation. I'll just press H on my keyboard and that's hidden. So this, let's just rename this as the character. Scale it more down. So what I'm doing is I'm pressing the middle one, dragging it. So clicking, holding and dragging it. And now that's small enough. If I press F again, it's quite small enough to see in my scene. So if I go to track points and right, okay. Selecting this track marker, if I just scale it so I can see it better, and now get back to my character, W, and so here in the poly modeling shelf, I've dragged out a plane for the purpose of shadow casting. I'm using the three tools on the left, the transform, rotate and the scale. These are there just so that I can align it to my character, so that when he jumps to the floor, the shadows will catch on in the render. So now I'm going to add a material to the plane. So I'm going to click it, right click, and then press assign new material, and then go to Arnold and find AI shadow matte. This one here. Yep. Okay, and now in order to see that in the render, I'm going to have to go up to Arnold and give it a sky dome light. Otherwise it's going to be a dark scene, you won't see nothing. So sky dome light, and in the color section at the top here, right here, I'll click that checkerboard and give it a file node, and in that file node folder I just have to navigate to normally it's a HDRI image that you'd put in, but in this case I'm just going to put one of the images of the image sequence. It's not the best practice, but it'll do for this tutorial. And now I will just hit the render. Now here essentially what I'm doing is I've dragged out a cube from the poly modeling shelf, and I'm trying to place it into the keyboard's keys. So one will be 4, 1 and then 0. The purpose of it is to cast shadows onto them as the character stands on top of the keys. To give it a more realistic feel, we're going to need to cast some shadows, and that's the whole purpose. So once I've aligned them all, I will right click on each one and assign a material, the same one as the previous one on the plane, to cast a shadow. Here I'm adjusting the vertex points of the keys to align with the keys so that the edges of the shadows don't overlap and look unrealistic, as you can see on the left hand side with the render. Now what I'm trying to do is just turn down the reflectiveness of the character. So I'm selecting each body part and going to its material tab in the attribute editor, and in the specular shading just dialing down the reflectivity and the cozying power. So once we've done all that, we go into the render settings and change some settings. So first of all, what we want to do is go to the Common tab and choose the output and in how do we want to do the format, whether we want to do it in a image sequence or a single frame. So in this case, it'll be an image sequence, and you also can change the resolution. For this tutorial, just going to do a 720p as opposed to a full HD. And you want to do the start frame 0 to whatever your end frame is, and then we will also check out the renderable cameras. We want to take off the perspective one because I don't need that. I just want the one that is actually the animated camera, which is the track points camera 1. And here I'm changing the preset to 720 HD. So here I'm rendering out the key buttons for the keyboard to cast a shadow. What I don't need is the characters, the character itself, but I need the shadows on the actual keys. So if we just select the body parts of the character and go to the second tab in the attribute editor, and then just in the visibility section, just turn off primary visibility, as you see that I'm doing here. Do that for each body part. Now in After Effects, we're going to import all these clips and set up our scene. Because the original clip is 1080 and the rendered out clips, and then lastly place the 720. So if you just shadow layer, transform, and then fit to comp, and then lastly that will just stretch it out. And then lastly place the shadow layer under the character to show his shade as he's running, as you can see here. Now this is our final render. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much.